Y'all, I have a confession to make. I almost ran away from my kingdom spouse. By the grace of God, he kept me from doing so. I want to share a little bit of the story so that you won't make the same mistake that I almost made. Now, in my last video, I talked about how I almost missed my kingdom spouse because I didn't believe God. If you haven't watched that video, I encourage you to do so, but after this video, because you do not want to miss this one, okay? So 3 years later, Damien ended up sliding in my DMs. Now, we knew each other from church and young adult service, but we weren't really like that close with each other. And so when he slid in my DMs, I was like, what he doing? And we joke about it now, but I told him like, you were really corny when you slid in my DM. He was like, you obviously like corny since it worked clearly. And I was like, true, true. But no, he was sliding my DMs and we had really good conversation for about a week or so. And I talked to my sister and I was like, Damien has been in my Facebook DMs and like hit me up and like chatting with me. And she said, well, why do you keep responding to him? And I was like, dang, that's a profound question. And she was like, if you don't want to talk to him, tell him to kick rocks. Like literally, this is what she said. Part of me was like, I don't want to talk to him, but the other part of me was like, you should continue to talk to him. And so a couple of days later, Damien was like, man, my boys, they getting on me because I'm over here talking with you through Facebook DMs. He asked me for my number. And y'all, the way I responded and like pretty much freaked out, you would have thought he asked me to be his wife right then and there. And so I saw that message asking for my number and I just slammed the laptop closed and left it on red for some hours. And I bit off all my nails. Like literally, I was so anxious, and I laugh about it now. Like you doing the most, you doing the most. But the thing was, is I had like made kind of like a vow, or like just telling to the Lord, like, okay, the next person I give my number to is going to be someone that I'm serious with, and like potentially my husband. Because in the past, I would literally like give out my number to anyone who asked and just have randoms texting me, just wasting time, like literally no potential. It was just made me feel, valuable and like wanted simply by having randoms texting me. And so if you have a lot of guys or ladies that you're talking to and it's not really going anywhere, stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your time. A dry phone is better than one that's popping with a whole lot of distractions. Okay. And so I was like, okay, let me not ghost him. Okay. Because I was trying to get rid of that toxic behavior. Here's another side note. Y'all stop ghosting people. Don't be ghosting people. We too grown, and that's worldly behavior. We got to be more holy and sanctified. People deserve to at least know, like, hey, I'm not talking to you anymore. This isn't fruitful. So I would appreciate you if you stop contacting me. And if they don't, then you block them. Okay, block them. Do what you got to do. Delete the number, all that stuff. But let's start communicating. So stop ghosting folks. Okay. So I had to stop ghosting folks. God was working on me. So I was like, okay, let me not ghost him. Let me just be a woman. Let me woman up and tell him, where I was at. Told him like, look, I don't feel comfortable giving you my number right now. I have a list of reasons. I don't really want to tell you why. But yeah, I don't want to give you my number right now. And so that's as good as I could get, y'all. I wasn't able to communicate fully to him at that moment. I ended up telling him later. But I was like, look, so yeah, that's it. And he was like, that's okay. He's like, I'm a patient man. Is it okay if I continue to contact you via Facebook? And I was like, okay, I can respect that. And so I said, yes, you can. And so like another week went by and he was like, man, my homeboys, they still getting on me that we still on Facebook. And I was like, you know what? Here's my area code. Yo, don't do this. Do not do this. This is petty. God has delivered me or continues to deliver me from pettiness. I was extra petty back then. But don't do that. But yeah, I literally gave him my area code. He was like, okay, it's cool. Cool area code. I'll take that. It's better than nothing. At least I'm making progress. And so another couple days or week went by and he was like, man, are you going to give me your number or not? And I was like, okay, here's my next 3 digits. He was like, 6 out of 10 ain't bad. We almost there. This is like really, y'all don't do this for real. Don't do this at home. And so he ended up pulling one over on me, but he ends up calling me through Facebook. I'm on my phone and it says Damien is calling you. And I was like, I picked up and I was like, what is going on? I was like, how'd you get my number? He's like, I don't need your number. I'm calling you through Facebook. And y'all, he won some points with that. And I was like, wow, you got me. And so we started talking via Facebook and really, really good conversation. And then I was talking to my roommate at the time and I was like, man, I need to just go ahead and give him my number and, stop playing games. He's been really nice. And I like his conversation. Like I enjoy him and, I think I want to move forward. And then I realized my last four digits was actually a date that was coming up. I was going to end up just giving it to him instead of waiting for that day. And she was like, no, wait for the day. That's going to be really cool. Like, just wait for the day. And so it was like another 5 days, less than a week away. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And so he calls me on Facebook audio and asks if I would meet him at Stone Mountain Park to walk up the mountain. And I was like, oh, walk up a mountain. I ain't that in shape, okay? But I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. We can get some fresh air. I need to be exercising anyways. God's been working on me with, just taking care of my temple. And I said, cool. That's great. We can meet then. And so the day approaches and we meet up at Stone Mountain and we're walking. And y'all, I'm trying not to appear out of breath. I'm like literally like trying not to hyperventilate. But we ended up making it all the way to the top of Snow Mountain by the grace of God, and I was about to pass out. But I tried to keep my cool. And we sit down around the mountain and we're just looking at the view. Damien pulls out a card with a letter in it, and it was some sweet, sappy stuff. He was corny and sappy, but all of it worked. Okay, it did. To wrap up the story, he ends up pulling out a card and he asked me if I would enter into courtship with him. Like, oh, this is so sweet. And he was like, cool, but yes or no? I was like, oh. And I said yes. I told him yes, I would enter into courtship with him. And I ended up pulling out a letter to him too. And I was like, this was not planned, like, but we both had a letter. And I wrote some sappy stuff too. I was a little sappy as well, a little corny. And at the bottom of the letter, it was 4818. And I said, not just today's date, but the last four digits of my phone number. And he was like, oh, are you kidding me? And so the day that he asked me into courtship was my last four digits of my phone number. It's wild. It's wild. I know. We were like, is this God? Like, this is crazy. So if you're watching, I don't want you to run away or even try and sabotage a good thing that God is trying to bring into your life. And like literally, I almost did. And I want to share some of the reasons why I almost ran away so that you won't do the same. Okay. And so one of the first ones is I was afraid. Fear was a big proponent to why I was acting the way I was acting. And one of the things was like fear of the unknown or even fear of a good thing. Because in the past, I had a lot of like unhealthy relationships. And sometimes when you get one that's like seems to be healthy or someone who seems to be like a genuine God fearing man, it can be scary. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's like you kind of like trauma bond and just like dysfunction. And God had worked that out of me, but it was trying to come back up in this moment when God was trying to bring me my good thing. And so it was just like the fear of like, oh my goodness, like, is this really what I've been praying for? Is God bringing it out? Oh no, I'm not ready yet. No, Lord, hold on. Hold on, let me breathe. Give me a couple months. But no, God was like, the timing is now. And like, I literally let go of the timing and then I was not even expecting it. And so when it was, I was like, oh no, this is it. But also another thing was I had a huge spirit of fear that God delivered me from, like in marriage actually. But Damien was known as like demon slayer, a lot of spiritual warfare, like crazy stuff was happening at young adult service. And after I had got rebaptized, God was revealing to me some of the plans that he had for me in regards to that. And I was like, no, Lord, like anything but that. Okay. I don't want, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I just wanted like, just a comfortable, nice, happy, Instagrammable marriage, where we good on finances, security, we love the Lord, we go to church, we have kids, and it's like a nice, comfortable Christian life. But here, God was like, no, I got plans, and you're going to need this type of man to lead you in what I'm calling you to do. And so in that moment, I'm like, no, Lord, I know what you're trying to do. No, 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 no. I said, anything else? Anything else? What's plan B? What's plan B? But I surrendered that fear. I didn't want to be led by fear. That God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so I chose to operate in that moment. I said, okay, Lord, I surrender to your will. I still don't know if this is my husband for sure, but I see what you're trying to do. I see a glimpse of what you're trying to orchestrate. And it scares me. And likewise, you might be running from your calling. I want you to surrender to the Lord in that area. And if you're someone who's trying to know your purpose or trying to find a person that will help align with God's will, or even need help in discernment or discerning a counterfeit, I encourage you to click the link in the description, fill out an application, and book a coaching call with me and my husband. And so the second thing that made me almost try and run away from my kingdom spouse was the sabotage cycle was trying to come and reactivate itself. I was like, you know what? This is a good thing. I don't want a good thing. Let me sabotage it. Let me push him away. So there was a moment where I started to like downplay myself and like speak negative towards myself. And I was like, okay, I don't want to end this, because there was something within me that was like telling me, and I believe it's the spirit of the Lord, like, no, this is my will for you. This is a good thing. You're safe. I know what I can do. I can just look like I'm insecure and he'll want to not be with me. And so I literally started downplaying myself as a sabotage mechanism to get him to like stop talking to me. And then it was like it went on for like a day or two, and I was like, okay, let me stop. I'm not insecure. I was just trying to push you. He's like, I know. I was like, that's not who you are. I know you're a strong woman of God. I was like, okay, you caught my bluff. Y'all, God was still working on me. Okay, he's still working on me. So y'all, stop sabotaging. Stop self-sabotaging. You got to get free from that. So the third reason why I was trying to run away from Damien was my ex. He ended up trying to get like a door back into my life. He had reached back out to me, and I was used to breaking up with people, getting back with them, breaking up with people, getting back with them. And this was like a test from, I don't know, the enemy of the Lord. I don't know. And I literally had the crossroad. I literally like saw a vision of the crossroad. One was you can go back to what you're used to and potentially even marry him. But this is not my perfect will for you. It's my permissive will. I'm not going to force you to do anything. Or you can completely close that door, not go back around that same mountain that you've been going around, and move forward in God's perfect will. And I knew there was something in me, like I just knew God gave me the impression that this door to Damien was going to be shut for good if I do not move forward. I don't know how. It's just I knew God was like, I'm not going to let you play with him. Like this is that Kairos moment that you can go through this door or you can go this way or not. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I was done with the past. I was done with those cycles of going back. And there was just something in me that's like, you want to go down this way. And so I shut the door. I told my ex, I even, told Damien at the time as well too. I was like, I'm done with that. I just knew that God was like calling me down this road, even though it was scary, even though I wanted to be like, no. Likewise, if you feel like you're dating the same type of people and it's leading nowhere, or you feel like you continue to break up those cycles of off and on relationship, it's time to let it go. You've gone around that mountain long enough. You have to move forward and we have to trust the Lord and be led by him. So I was like, I'm not gonna go back. I've been back that road. Going to press forward in this new season with this amazing man of God who I feel like God is leading me to. The last point that I wanted to share was that I almost ran away and pushed away my kingdom spouse, my now husband, because he was not wrapped up in what I thought I wanted. You know, me, I always wanted someone who was like really, really tall, 6'4" and up, because I'm like 5'9.5", 5'10". And at the time, I like to wear heels. And so I was like, okay, I need him to be at least like 6'4" or 6'3", so he can still be taller than me in heels. And I was like, Lord, I can't have no short man, because it's going to be really hard for me to submit to someone who I'm looking eye to eye or looking down on. It's like, I can't, Lord. So please let it be really tall. And so Damien was like 6 feet, 6.5, maybe 6'1" on a good day. We're like almost the same height when I wear heels. But check this out. Your girl don't even like to wear heels no more. So that little list of what I thought I needed it was for young Kenady, not 30s and up with 2 kids Kenady. My feet be hurting. Okay. So I'm team flats now. Or even the kitten heels. You know, we used to look down on the older women with the kitten heels. I understand, because my feet are gonna be barking and I'm gonna need foot rubs for at least 2 weeks if I wear heels. So if you ever see me in heels, it's a rare occurrence, and I just prefer my flats. I prefer my flats. And so Damien is taller than me, way taller than me, with some inches, because I'll be wearing flats now. Okay. He wasn't wrapped up in what I had wanted externally, but he is more than what I ever needed. And even like, now I'm like, oh man, I'm attracted to you. Even this might be too much, but we gotta keep it real. I didn't realize until, nah, I ain't gonna say that. There's something about muscles, okay? He got muscles. You probably can't see it because you don't see him without a shirt off. But I was like, where these muscles come from? He used to be a basketball player. He actually played college in basketball. And so look, God still gave me a basketball player. He was just a point guard, okay? I wasn't wanting a center or a forward, but he was one of the one or twos. And I was like, okay, I still got my basketball player, okay? If you are desiring a kingdom spouse and you have this list of things that really don't matter at the end of the day, it don't matter. That list may be keeping you from what God wants to give you. Yes, attraction is important. Yes, chemistry is important. But sometimes we're being unrealistic. And a lot of times the enemy will bring you a counterfeit wrapped up just how you always wanted and prayed for. And it comes with a lot of headache, stress, shenanigans, all the stuff. You need to have non-negotiables, things that's like, look, this ain't worldly. These important things, okay? These important things. And one of them that needs to be on your list is someone who's truly a believer, a born again believer who is submitted by the word of God. That's not a shallow thing. That's a standard. That's a must. Okay. And so have your non-negotiables, but them desires, okay, you might just kind of give it to the Lord like that. It's like, it'd be nice to have this, but if not, that's okay. Neither one of us were each other's type, our typical type, but that typical type didn't work. And so now we are each other's type, and we have more to offer than just the physical. Physical attraction is there. And so surrender that to the Lord. He knows what you need, but don't say, nah, I don't want it, simply because they don't look the way you've always imagined. If you're someone who is single or even dating and you want to do things God's way, but you need help, maybe you need help breaking them sabotage cycles. Maybe you need help with healing from the past and even creating your non negotiable list, your boundaries, needing discernment, tired of dating the same type of people. Click the link in the description, fill out the application, and book a coaching call with me and my husband. We love to sit down with you, hear your story, and see if you'll be a right fit for our coaching program. Y'all make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't watched that other video, I encourage you to do so now. It's really good. But y'all take care, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video.